Live from the Ball State News Center, this is NewsLink Indiana in high definition.
Good evening and welcome to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Tanner Holbrook.
And I'm Jenna Liston. Thanks for joining us.
Students have been critical of Ball State's Board of Trustees since former President Paul Ferguson suddenly resigned. But one trustee suggested a way students can make their voices heard. NewsLink Indiana's Tony Sandlaben is live in the newsroom with more. Good evening, Tony.
Thanks, Tanner. Good evening, everyone. The Ball State Board of Trustees recommended an avenue for students to get their concerns properly addressed. However, complexity and a lack of awareness campus-wide have now made that avenue a little less simple.
And so I think a valuable first step is for students who have concerns and who have questions to go to their student government representatives. If you don't want to be in student government, find the person who does and tell them, this is my concern. They exist literally and solely for the purpose of representing the students.
That was student trustee Dustin Meeks, encouraging students to take their concerns with the Board of Trustees to the Student Government Association. But as SGA President-elect James Wells explains, it may not be that simple.
We make our choices known early on with the administration and the University Senate, then those get handled almost, you can say, by the president whenever University Senate decides to go along with any ideals that student government has proposed.
To put things into perspective, student concerns start at the Student Government Association, who then talks on the topic before presenting the concern to the campus council or student senate. They then debate on the issue before moving it along to the agenda committee, who puts it before the University Senate. The University Senate then works on the issue before taking it to the office of the president, who then addresses the issue before finally going to the Board of Trustees. But when asked how often students come to the SGA with concerns, Wells was quite blunt.
Not at all. Surprisingly, what I come to find out is that students don't even know that we have this Board of Trustees that is at the top of the food chain, you can say, when it comes to power decision making here at Ball State's campus.
Wells will take over as president of SGA in April. He says at least one goal of his is to reach out to students and help resolve the transparency issue with the Board of Trustees. Wells' first step in accomplishing that goal is to hold a press conference sometime next month to notify students that the SGA wants to hear students' concerns. That way, they can properly represent the student body when discussing legislation. Live in the newsroom, Tony Sandlaben, NewsLink Indiana.
All right, thanks, Tony. Now to some big news coming from Ball State Athletics today. Women's volleyball coach Steve Shondell announces his retirement just after 6 years on the job.
And Jonathan Chapman is our sports anchor tonight with more details about Shondell's retirement.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, the big news of the day comes from a team in the middle of their spring schedule. As Tanner mentioned, head women's volleyball coach Steve Shondell is retiring after a very impressive career. Under his guidance, the Cardinals went 119-68 overall and 64-32 in the Mid-American Conference. Shondell earned 2010 MAC Coach of the Year after the team won the MAC regular season title. Before taking over the Ball State women's team, Shondell established himself with a dominant coaching record at Muncie Burris Laboratory School. Starting in 1976, Shondell racked up 4 national championships, finished with 7 undefeated seasons, and won 21 state championships. The Burris Owls only lost 95 games during Shondell's 34-year career, along the way winning 1,183 matches. Shondell, a Ball State alum, is quoted as saying, "The past 6 years coaching at Ball State women's volleyball have been the 6 of the best years of my life." He continued, "I will deeply miss coaching at Ball State." NewsLink Sports will have more on this developing story in tomorrow night's sports segment.
All right, thank you, John, for that sports update. Now, transitioning a little bit over into weather, Tanner, how was your Easter weekend?
It was great. Beautiful weather over the weekend. However, on the drive back is literally, it was so bad.
Yeah.
And, you know, I live in Michigan. Coming over the Indiana border, just a wall, a monsoon, if you will. And I understand that we might even have to have that umbrella a little bit later on this week. So Nathan DeYoung, what can you tell me?
Yeah, so I know that you guys mentioned about Easter weekend. 76 degrees was the daytime high here in Muncie on Easter Sunday. So definitely a beautiful day overall. Then we saw those rain showers move into the area. Looking at radar over the last 6 hours here in Muncie, For today, that system that moved through on Sunday still continues to stick around, leaving us with a pretty hefty cloud deck sticking around. 45 degrees is the current temperature. Our indications is showing that it has a few sprinkles out there, but not indicating that by radar. North-northwest wind at 7 miles per hour right now, and this is a much different picture than we had yesterday of 76. 15 degrees difference in temperature than 24 hours ago, 11 degrees difference in places like Kokomo. You notice that we have a pretty significant gradient on the map, which indicates that we had a significant change in temperatures as the cold front moved through the area. Bus stop forecast for the morning, 34 degrees. It will be quite a chilly start to the day. By the time the kiddos get to go home, 55 degrees with breezy conditions. Coming up in my full forecast, we're going to talk about how long these sunny skies are going to stick around, tracking some thunderstorms for the midweek, and then even a cooler pattern to return for Friday and into the weekend.
Thank you, Nathan, for that full weather forecast. A Tennessee man was shot by U.S. Capitol Police this afternoon after pulling out a gun at the Capitol Visitor Center. The suspect has been identified as Larry Russell Dawson. Dawson is currently residing at a hospital along the single female civilian bystander who suffered, quote, minor injuries. The gunman attempted to go through Capitol Visitor Center metal detectors, however, was stopped by a security and proceeded to draw his weapon. Dawson was just previously arrested in October on charges of assaulting a police officer after an outburst in House chamber.
An adult male subject entered the north screening facility of the Capitol Visitor Center. During routine administrative screening, the individual drew what appeared to be a weapon and pointed it at officers. An officer fired and struck the suspect, who was subsequently treated by medical personnel. The suspect was taken into custody and transported to the hospital for treatment. The suspect is currently undergoing surgery. His condition is unknown at this time. A weapon was recovered on the scene.
The Department of Justice has dropped its case against Apple after the FBI gained access to the San Bernardino's terrorist's iPhone. Law enforcement officials were able to break into the phone of Saeed Farouk today with the help of an unnamed third party. Farouk was one of 2 shooters in the 2015 terrorist attacks. Despite the government's attempts, Apple refused to cooperate, saying it would compromise the privacy of all Apple users.
The backlash over anti-gay and anti-transgender legislation in Georgia and North Carolina has led to one governor planning to veto a controversial bill and another being sued. Melissa Rainey reports.
I will veto House Bill 757.
Georgia Governor Nathan Deal announcing Monday that he will veto the controversial religious freedom bill, legislation that critics say would have discriminated against the LGBT community.
Our actions on House Bill 757 are not just about protecting the faith-based community or providing business-friendly climate for job growth in Georgia. I believe it is about the character of our state and the character of our people.
Senator Mike Crane, who strongly supported the bill, says the governor's decision was bought and paid for by corporations. Several companies, including Apple and Unilever, urged the governor to veto the bill. Disney threatened to abandon film production in Georgia if the bill was signed into law. Senator Crane is already pushing for special session to override Deal's veto. Georgia is not the only state dealing with anti-discrimination legislation. A federal lawsuit was filed against the governor of North Carolina Monday over a new law that blocks transgender individuals from selecting restrooms based on how they identify.
We're asking the court to overturn House Bill 2 because it is unconstitutional, because it violates the equal protection, and because it discriminates on the basis of sex and sexual orientation, and because it is an invasion of privacy for transgender men and transgender women.
In a special session, Republican lawmakers passed the Public Facilities Privacy and Securities Act last week.
I don't want to be up here. We don't want this fight to be necessary. But legislation such as this, and injustice such as this, demands that we take action.
I'm Melissa Rainey, reporting.
As Cubans debate the impact of Barack Obama's historic trip to the island last week, the former Cuban president is lambasting the visit. In a full-page column titled "Brother Obama, Fidel Castro Rejected Obama's Visit and Words of Reconciliation." Castro wrote, "We do not need the empire to give us anything," referring to the United States.
The fact that the former president felt compelled to respond so forcefully to the president's visit, I think is an indication of the significant impact of President Obama's visit to Cuba.
During his two-day visit, President Obama was frequently with Fidel's brother, current Cuban President Raul Castro. The two dined together and attended a U.S.-Cuban baseball game. Obama did not meet with Fidel Castro, and however, during this trip, Cubans applauded when Obama said both countries should move past decades of mistrust and animosity. All right, well, up next, Indiana residents have fallen victim to a telephone scam.
And BET co-founder Sheila Johnson was here in the studio earlier today. Find out what she had to say after the break.
Heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. U.S. Marshals are warning Hoosiers about an ongoing telephone scam. Officials say that the scammers are calling residents posing as U.S. and deputy marshals, claiming to have a warrant out for their arrest. The warrants are allegedly for failing to appear for a federal grand jury, missing federal jury duty service, or failing to respond to a federal subpoena or summons. The scammer claims that the arrest can be avoided by paying a fee to proceeding to provide contact information. To do so, U.S. Marshals do not take payments via telephone, and citizens are advised to never give out personal or financial information to unknown callers.
The co-founder of the BET network, Sheila Johnson, came to Ball State to speak about the importance of leadership. Not only did she co-found BET, but she also is the CEO of Salamander Hotels and Resorts. Her talk with students focused on creating the right corporate culture and the importance of embracing technology. Unified Media was able to sit down with Sheila Johnson before the event as she explained the importance of following your dreams with this powerful word of advice.
First of all, never have a doubt about what you can and cannot do. You know, you want to set your goals, you want to think about where you want to end up in the future. But don't let anybody tell you what you can and cannot do. You have to believe in yourself. And I really believe that's the first lesson that you need to learn in life. If you have a passion for something, you go for it. Just make sure that those other voices are tuned out. You don't want to listen. You've got to believe in yourself. You got to know who you are.
March is National Nutrition Month. The Ball State Nutrition and Dietetics Association is trying to get students to eat healthier on and off campus. NewsLink's Michael Estridge has the story.
The Ball State Dietetics Association has been promoting healthy eating all month long. Ball State Dietetics students and senior Kelsey Griffin explains who they are.
A group, you know, we kind of meet with each other monthly to not only be together as a group and to have fun, but we're also there for each other to help the younger ones with like studying or just to be there and answer any kind of questions that we can. And so we also just like to, as a group, get our name out there, like I said. So it's a really good way for us to be involved on campus.
With them promoting healthy eating, they have been handing out healthy snacks.
The month is kind of, I think more people than just the dietetics world also know that March is National Nutrition Month, but our goal is to bring awareness to that.
Those of you that might not have known that March is National Nutrition Month, there is one more event on the slate, Fresh Fruit Frenzy. It's on Tuesday in the Neuer Complex from 11 a.m. to 1:15. With it being National Nutrition Month, Ball State's dietitian Amanda Cruz explains just what it is.
National Nutrition Month is run through the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and each year has a different theme focusing on something either that we want to focus on for in the nutrition world, or something maybe that we really just want people to realize is part of living a healthy lifestyle.
Ball State students might not think they can eat healthy on campus, but according to these dietitians, you can. In Muncie, Michael Estridge, NewsLink, Indiana.
Any Ball State student with a meal plan can set up an appointment with Amanda Cruz for nutritional counseling. All right, after the break, find out how much longer these cool temperatures will stick around.
And is there more rain on the way? Find out in your full weather forecast right after this.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
They're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. Well, you can always tell spring has arrived here on campus when Frog Baby's pool is filled up once again. The Frog Baby statue had been absent from the pool while pipelines were cleaned. Now that she's back, we can finally say spring is here. Now, if temperatures could get the message that spring was here, that'd be great.
So, weather. It's not looking too good for this week.
No, not very exciting at all. Nathan, what can you tell us about the weather?
Yeah, we're in that time of year in which these temperatures can go from the upper 50s, 60s down to the low 30s, which is pretty much normal for this time of year. However, yesterday we did get our treat of some severe weather, first starting out with the storm report photos that came in to us from Randolph County. You notice that we had several systems move through the area. If you were around, you heard that thunder, you saw that lightning, you even heard some hail here in Muncie. But you notice in this picture that comes from the Randolph County Emergency Management, we're looking at ping pong, even golf ball size hail in this photo, and then pea size hail in this photo that came from someone's backyard on a deck. So definitely some severe weather that was here, but not coming anytime soon in our 7-day forecast. Looking at temperatures all across the nation, pretty mild temperatures overall, closer back to home. 45 degrees currently here in Muncie, 43 in Kokomo, 47 in Indianapolis at the top of the hour. So definitely a different change in temperatures coming from 76 degrees on Sunday. But look at these temperature changes. 15 degrees colder here in Muncie since 24 hours ago. And this is all due to that cold front that moved through the area, brought us those rain showers. Looking at radar over the last 3 hours, you notice that cloud deck continues to stay here in central Indiana for most of the night. 32 degrees is our overnight low, is our forecasted temperature, but it'll also be bringing some gusty winds into the forecast too. We're stopping here at 10 p.m. on Tuesday. We're looking at gusts up to 15 miles per hour for the daytime tomorrow. Tomorrow overall 56 degrees with a northeast wind at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Looking at looking at precision cast over the next couple days. Our next system will move in Wednesday into Thursday. You notice that line of storms will develop with the next system to move through the area, bringing us our next chance of rain to the forecast. Overall, looking at the forecast, we do see that temperatures could have got up to 67, even 70 degrees for Thursday. However, we are tracking that chance of some thunderstorms. And then even on Friday morning, we can't rule a stray shower or two on Friday, but 52 degrees. And you know, earlier in the forecast, I mentioned that we talked about those mild temperatures returning back to the forecast. I want you guys to look at the Saturday and Sunday temperature. 51 degrees is our forecasted high right now. And you might be wondering, is this normal for this time of year? Pretty much for the month of March, we can see those temperature ranges that are quite significant, but at least it's going to be sunny for the weekend as of right now.
That's exciting. I mean, at least it goes up just a little bit in the midweek, but unfortunately goes a little bit back down. Can we see any future a little bit warmer temperatures for us coming up?
Oh yeah, it's totally expected here in Indiana. We do have that chance to see those temperatures to increase over the coming months as we progress into the month of April.
Well, all right, thanks Nathan. After the break, a local high school record that has stood for 53 years was at risk of being broken this weekend.
And find out how this year's IHSA state champions could change the records book.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but things changed. Teaching didn't seem that cool anymore, so you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Amazing things are happening in teaching, so it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Jonathan Chapman with sports from around the area. After 53 years, a record set by Muncie Central boys basketball is no longer on top. Muncie Central has owned the record for most boys basketball state championships in Indiana history. Muncie Central's last championship came in 1988. This weekend, during IHSAA state championship play, Marion High School won their 8th state title. Marion defeated Evansville Bosse 73-68 at Bankers Life Fieldhouse on Saturday. That victory leaves Muncie Central and Marion in a tie for the most state titles in Indiana history. Marion head coach James Blackman talks about what this record means to his team.
Get older. I mean, when we left the Marion High School, we had younger kids that were out there cheering for us. Those younger kids look up to these guys, and every time they walk in Marion High School, they set the place. They made themselves in a position where they got a banner. So anytime they come through Marion High School, this is a special team, and it's always going to be special for them for the rest of their lives.
Around the area, 2 Madison County teams also won state championships. LaPel High School won Class 2A title, and Liberty Christian came away with the Class 1A victory. And back at the collegiate level, Ball State Baseball swept the MAC Player of the Week honors after taking on Miami of Ohio and Purdue. Zach Plezak took home Pitcher of the Week, while shortstop Alex Maloney was honored as Player of the Week. Zach Plesac dominated the Miami lineup on Saturday. Plesac threw a complete game, 2-hit shutout in the Cardinals' 9-0 victory. He also struck out a career-high 11 batters. Maloney provided a spark for the Cardinals' offense, hitting .485 for the week with 7 hits and 3 RBIs. Maloney had the key performance in Ball State's 9-8 comeback victory over Purdue, going 3 of 4 with a couple of runs scored. Ball State plays Valparaiso tomorrow at 4 p.m. And Ball State women's basketball all-time points leader Natalie Fontaine has earned herself another prestigious honor. The Swedish native has been named an honorable mention All-American selection by the Associated Press. Fontaine also earned 2016 MAC Conference Player of the Year and won MAC West Player of the Week 7 times this season. The 6'2" forward averaged 20.6 points per game while shooting 49% from the field. The full All-American team of 5 will be announced later this week. As an honorable mention, Fontaine made it to the last 10 before missing the cut. And guys, in a little bit of a Final Four action this week, Notre Dame just missed it, losing to UNC on Sunday by a score of 88-74. So they will be out of it, and there are no more Indiana teams left.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you, John. Coming up, Instagram is getting a new look.
And find out what movie had people talking this past weekend. This and more after the break.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Sure, I look cute now, but when my owner lost his job, it was rough. I was living on the street, and one night, me and this Cocker Spaniel got into it so bad, I wound up looking like an ice cream cone. I cried a little bit, but thankfully I got rescued, so I'm running, I'm jumping, all back to my old self. And I'm ready to give unconditional love, even if you put a lampshade on my head.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to NewsLink Indiana. I'm Abby Kirk with your entertainment news. A big change is coming to your Instagram feed tomorrow. Announced earlier this month that they are changing the way the app displays posts to become more like Facebook. Rather than presenting users with a chronological list of posts, the new algorithm will sort posts based on what you like, your relationship with the person posting, and the timeliness of the post. This means that Instagram will choose what to show you and when, basically mirroring Facebook's news feed. Here's how to make sure your posts still get seen and how to make the change work for you. If you don't want to miss any of, say, Kim Kardashian's daily posts, simply go to her Instagram page, clicking on the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner of the screen, and click on Turn On Notifications. Batman vs. Superman had a record-breaking opening weekend in the U.S., but made even more at the overseas box office. While Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice shattered North American box office records in its opening weekend, it also set new ones overseas. The movie made $234 million internationally, making it the largest March opening ever and the biggest opening weekend for a superhero film. That's all your entertainment news. Back to you guys at the news desk. All right, thanks, Abby. Now let's take a final look at weather, Nathan.
50s tomorrow with sunny skies in the forecast. Wednesday looking even better with a high of 67, but breezy conditions in store.
Well, great, Nathan. And that is all for NewsLink Indiana tonight. Be sure to watch tomorrow at 9 p.m. right here on Cardinal Vision.
And be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Have a good night.